Hello, everyone, and welcome to Create Your Life series, Going Beyond Mediocre to Infinite Possibility. I'm your host, Alara Canfield. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And you know what I just realized today when I was getting ready for this show is that, there are people who are joining these shows and watching the replays after and the videos who may not even know who I am. It's like, oh, I've never introduced myself. So I was like, oh, wow, I should do that. So we do have a guest, but I thought I would just tell you, I'm Alara Canfield. I'm the host. I am a coach, healer, facilitator of change, catalyst for change. I'm not a CF yet, but I will be in March. So I'm a CFMW, that's for sure. So I'm a healer. I'm also the host of the Awaken to Happiness Now global series, and many other things. So you can find out more about me at alara.at. Simple, right? alara.at. All right. So today on this video series, we have a special guest, and she's like waiting patiently, and so good. We have Lauren Pauly, who's here with us today, and Lauren is an award-winning author of the international bestseller, The Other Side of Bipolar. Shares her own journey to help others find the life they desire without limitations, catalyzing them to shift from surviving to thriving through dynamic healing, self-empowerment, and life-changing tools. She is a life coach, international speaker, certified access consciousness facilitator, medical speech language pathologist, and registered yoga instructor. And I have to say, I should have said, I am also a international speaker and an author. Yeah, I'm so funny that way. Anyway, so I'm so glad that Lauren is here with us today to share with us some of her favorite tools from Access Consciousness and what she has used to shift and change her life and how she is going from beyond mediocre to infinite possibility. So Lauren, first of all, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. Thank you all for joining us live too. This is fun.
Oh, absolutely. It is fun. And for those of you who are joining live, you can ask a question by writing it in the chat, or if you're brave enough, you can come live with us on video. And if you don't have video, you can go live audio. That's fine too. All right. So thank you so much. And so Lauren, because this is the first time that, you're on the show, this is the first series that we're doing so far. So can you tell us a little bit about who is Lauren, and how did you get started with Access Consciousness tools? Today I'm going to be really nice. I'm going to go step by step, one question at a time.
And no need, you can go 1,000 miles an hour with me. I usually
we may ask
that way anyway.
I ask like 500 questions, at once, and it's like, oh, okay, so yeah.
So I discovered Access Consciousness about like 8 years ago, I think. I've been a certified facilitator for the past 6. I took my time diving into the material. It was something where I didn't find Access and went, oh, I'm going to facilitate one day. It was, wow, this stuff really works and is changing things in my own space. And then there were all these fun classes, and I went, ooh, I want to try that. I want to try that. And before you knew it, I had all of the prerequisites basically to become a certified facilitator. So it just became a natural extension from there. But I really chose into it because of the change it was making in my own life and for my body. I had been through kind of a windy path in my life, I would say, and not just professionally, but also personally. I was diagnosed with bipolar when I was 14 and spent years in the Western medical system getting very fear-based and limitation-based therapy. Worked my way out of that with holistic psychiatrists, yoga, meditation, kind of chakra alignment, acupuncture, that kind of thing. And then it wasn't until years and years later that I found the tools of Access. I had already had my diagnosis overturned. I was already kind of very successful in my own life, but I still had this deeper layer of self-judgment. And for me, that's what Access really started to unlock, was those deeper layers of where I was trying to be perfect on the outside because there was something inside that needed to be hidden still. And for me, that's the greatest gift of actually blowing open all of those barriers that we have, all the smoke screens and all those agendas that we put up to keep ourselves hidden from people. So that's kind of been my journey with it, just being more open and free in the world.
And sometimes we don't even realize what those agendas are, right? Or what's hidden underneath, right? And so, but I'll be honest, if something is not working, take a look at it, ask some questions, right? So what are some of the questions that you asked yourself to Get out of the judgment and the self-judgment and whatever else was kind of in the way of you being fully you and acknowledging the gift and brilliance that you are.
I think kind of the basic one that we've all heard is what's right about you, you're not getting. But I'd like to invite you into a different space with that. What's right about you that you're not getting, but like on a deep, 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 deep layer. Like right now, if you could just let the boundaries and the barriers around your body, around your personal space, your mind, all the definitions you have, and not just about like what's wrong about you, let that go down and push it down, but also what's right about you too.
Mm-hmm.
Actually allowing all of those definitions to start to become softer. And whatever ones that you've aligned with that actually aren't yours, can you destroy and uncreate everywhere you've aligned with it?
Yes.
Agreed with it, resisted and reacted to it. Fought for the camp of rightness and also fought for the camp of wrongness against yourself. Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, name shorts, boys, and beyonds. Yeah, and that for me was a huge conversation. It wasn't like what's right about me that I'm not getting, but also what have I made right about me that actually is a bastardization and a limitation of what I truly have to offer. Anywhere that you're in definition, you're just going to be limiting yourself. There's really this unexplored territory that we can all get to. That works with judgment that's good and also judgment that's bad. So that's kind of a fun way to start playing with it. And again, go deeper with it.
And deeper that we go, we realize that there's nothing there other than space. There's nothing there other than beingness, which it seems like nothing, but it's a huge thing, right? Being that space and just being you. It's kind of it's undefinable, right?
Yeah,
You can't really define it.
That's actually where our phenomenance lies. And we're talking about going beyond mediocre. And a lot of times we think like, okay, I'm going to go beyond mediocre, and whatever our definition of what that is, that's what we choose to try to outcreate. And it's different for everybody. Someone's mediocre is like having a white picket fence and 2 kids. Everyone can do that. Why would I do that? But for someone else, that may actually be a phenomenal life that they love. So it's kind of interesting to see where these definitions that take us out of space really kind of lock us into something where we either have to have, it's almost like you're creating for a specific outcome. Because if I've defined something as mediocre, I then have to have the outcome of going beyond what I think is mediocre, which may just be another version of what might be mediocre to you. It's very different than actually asking the question, like, what is a phenomenal life from my point of view?
Yeah. And even that's going to be different for each person too. What is it? Ooh, it's like, I'm seeing something flashing here. It's like, what is that? It was my bracelet.
Chat box too was going.
I know, right? So yeah, can you share with us a little bit about what does bipolar mean? Because not everybody knows.
Okay, yeah, I always forget that part. So bipolar is a medical term, a psychiatric diagnosis. So most people know depression, which is what they call unipolar depression. You have one side, you have the downside. Bipolar, you have both sides. So you have down cycles where it's not just a sadness, it's kind of a lack of enthusiasm, lack of energy, black hole energy. And then you also have the flip side of that, which is the mania. So being highly energetic, having racing thoughts, talking a mile a minute, grandiose ideas, that kind of thing. And depending on what you're diagnosed with, this is kind of coming from the medical terminology. Coming from that, you can either be a rapid cycler, which is what I was diagnosed with, which meant I went up and down really quickly, or you'll find people who have depressed phases for like 3 months and then they go into a manic phase for 3 months. But basically it's having both the downs and the ups and cycling back and forth from the medical perspective. For me, with an energetic perspective, it's really looking at the embodiment of the polarity of this reality. And also all those places where we kind of do escapist things, thinking it will make us happy. Like that mania phase for me just feels like an kind of unsubstantiated place that we go to try to prove that we're happy. You know, like when you see someone who's like, oh my God, I'm so happy. And they're all over the place. And there's this like charged, zappy energy. They can't sustain it for a long time. That's actually not something that's really true. That's not it's not the phenomenons really of that spacious quality of joy and enthusiasm. So it's kind of interesting from the medical perspective. It is this kind of up and down. And then the energetics, you can get to the highs to the low, and also just your awareness. If you're around a lot of different people, like for me, waves of energy would move through my space. I would think it was mine, and before you know it, I'd be acting very different.
Exactly. So that brings to us a tool that, it's amazing. Dane said this recently. I forget. I think it was in the Being You. He said this is the one tool he uses all the time. Who does this belong to? And I was on a call earlier, a group call, my own group call, and people were talking about stuff, and I said, who does this belong to? It's an easy tool. Are you guys using it? And so is that one of the tools that you used and use regularly?
All the time. My background is as a medical speech pathologist, so I've always worked in the hospital, which is a very intense environment, you can imagine. A lot of anger, a lot of death, a lot of rightness in the points of view from the doctors, and a lot of entities, which I have a lot of capacity with. So for me, when I learned the Who Does It Belong To tool, I didn't take it upon an outside thing coming in to ask who does it belong to. I kind of had it running in the background. I walked through the hospital like, who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? And after a couple of days of that, it was just like I could perceive this stuff sloughing off the outside of my being. So there was just more space. Beyond the who does it belong to, when you're picking up on all these different energies, yes, it's like it gets stuck in us, and that's when we have to ask, who does it belong to? I've kind of bought it as mine, return it to sender. Yeah. But also, what capacity lies beneath that? Do you actually have a capacity with your awareness that you could be utilizing and harnessing even more than just trying to shove it back to where it came from?
I love that.
And that's kind of more of an advanced conversation, but that's where I really love to play. And things change dynamically when you're willing to kind of turn up the potency on that one.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? Maybe we'll save that bit for our next series, because this is the introductory series for people who may not be familiar with Access, right? So I mean, I love that tool. I use it, and I it's amazing. So what are the other tools that you've been using in your life so that you've been doing some amazing things past couple of years, I love your book, and it's a bestseller. So how did you create that? And remember I said I have like always tons of questions, and like what was going through your head when you were putting that book out? Like, was there judgment? Was there those projections? Like, what was going on? See, so many
all of the above and more.
Yeah, right.
It's a very confronting process, I would say, writing something that's super personal like that. And I read a memoir about someone's journey through mental illness and beyond when I was like 19. And I read the book and I kind of went, oh, I'm going to write a book about what I'm going through someday. And I put that idea aside. I'm now 38. So I went through years and years and years not revisiting actually being an author. But what started to unfold, and I kind of didn't get till now, is everything that I was exploring in my own space, my own body, was like this prep work for me to be able not only to write about it, but to lead other people through it faster. It took me a long time. You know what I mean? I've been here, there, and everywhere, and I've done a lot of deep work with this. The writing process was really fascinating because, again, when you are writing like a personal story that other people judge, you've grown up stigmatized by it constantly, which I was. Like, it was never safe to tell anybody. I mean, that's even a chapter in the book. It's not safe to share is what it's called. Yeah. So having that, being able to write it on the page allowed me to kind of unravel my own stigma where I was still sticking myself with it. Not only where I was judging myself, but also where I was grouping myself in with other people with the same diagnosis. And kind of like to invite all of you to look at that too. Where are you grouping yourself with other people, maybe on a diagnosis, but maybe just on like a social background or your family or what you look like, your cultural, like it's really interesting. Those are just different definitions. But when we do that, we automatically kind of buy whatever is theirs as ours too. Again, that's another great place to use who does it belong to. So for me, it was really that process of being able to break down all that stigma and inner judgment. And I wasn't quite sure I was going to release it.
I'm glad you did.
I'm glad I did too. And it was like halfway through, it was just getting more and more personal and very intense. But by the time I was finished, I just kept going, kept writing. The book and the message of the book, the possibility it could be for others, got so much bigger than whatever crazy stigmatized judgment I had personally of myself. And I think that's a beautiful thing to look at with creation, those conversations. If you create something that you can perceive will change others to such a degree, or at least be the possibility, the institution of the possibility that you know and would love to see in the world, that's something that really invites you to step out of whatever personal weird judgment, self-sabotage, holding back behavior you may got going on, you know?
Oh, wow. It's like, I love that. Thank you. Because it's like, yes.
Yeah, that's a lot on there.
That's a heavy one, because it's like, there's just sometimes so many, it's for me, you know, honestly, it's always has been always about judgment, you know? Family's judgment, society's judgment, cultural judgments, my own judgment, you know, and I'm working through it, but it's like, Jesus, sometimes it's like, okay, can I just get past this now? Because I'm limiting myself. You know, I'm being mediocre when I'm judging myself or buying the judgments of others.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because most of us, when we don't want to be ruled by judgment anymore, like most of us are kind of nonstop, and then we realize that we are. And so what do? We want to fight against those judgments. So most of us try to fight against the judgments by either choosing the opposite judgment and trying to be like that, or what we'll do is kind of try to fight and fight and fight and fight. And what that does, unfortunately, it just locks you up further. It's really getting to the space where the judgment isn't relevant anymore.
Right.
It's like that little squeaking mouse that's coming at you. Yeah. And you're like that huge elephant next to it that doesn't even bother to step on the mouse because it's just a mouse.
Yeah.
But actually just continues to be the elephant and walk through the world. So that's kind of an interesting conversation in general of like, where are you fighting? Either, again, what we talked about before, what's wrong about you, those judgments, and where are you also fighting to maintain the judgments about what's right about you too? All of that just creates anxiety, stress, struggle, tension in your body. It's really through those softer spaces that things start to change.
You know, one of the things I wrote down for myself yesterday or today, it was about acknowledgement, right? Because I'm not good at acknowledgement. So about the contribution that you are. So what contribution am I that I'm not acknowledging?
Huge.
Right. So is that the type of question that you used when you were getting comfortable with putting your book out and actually writing it and putting it out there? What contribution am I that I'm not acknowledging? That could, you know, that is a gift to whoever is going to read the book, for example.
And not even when I was putting it out, but it's something that I continually get to go back to or forward with, I would say. And it's because the more you go, and I don't think people talk about this enough, the bigger you get, the more judgment you get. The more projections you get. So then you start perceiving like thousands of people who have read your book, who've never met you, but it's a very personal story. So they feel like they know you, which is amazing. And what a gift that people can get that from what I've created. That to me is like, wow. And the projections that come with it sometimes are a little bit intense. It's also people who read the material that you put out with, and they interact with it in a different way than you would have anticipated. But it's, again, coming off that relevance. For me, as a creator, whether you're writing a book, you know, you're developing a business, whatever it is that you're creating, even a relationship, what your job is just to create it and put it out there. How other people view it, how they judge it, how they interact with it, and you, by extension, that's really not your business. You have no control over that. So that's
not my problem, right?
Yeah,
Hashtag not my problem.
It's not my problem. And also it's amazing that it's starting a ripple of conversation.
Yeah.
And that, again, is looking at the acknowledgement of what gift you are. A lot of us are looking for the positive gift. Well, people really like me now. Well, what if you ruffled someone's feathers, but ruffling their feathers put them into question that created more? or didn't put them in question at all, but allowed you to look for yourself of, no, this is actually something that I believe in and I'm willing to stand behind it.
Oof,
and I've had
it.
a lot of those interactions where it's like, oh, I could definitely think that I'm not a gift based on how this person is responding to my perspective on mental health.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it gave me more of a chance to look at it and go, no, even when confronted, even when not even questioned, but told that I'm wrong, there's something here that I know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been a gift in itself.
And even if somebody says, hey, you're wrong, right? Still, it has given them some sort of awareness, some sort of, they're thinking about it. They're looking at it at least, right? So, because, I've been judged in the past too. And, people have like sent me nasty emails and it's like, okay, they're obviously going through something. It's like, it's not my problem. I didn't, I did nothing. So it's like, that's their thing, whatever their thing is. So I was a catalyst maybe for some sort of change within them. So it's like, all right, cool. And so I'm not even going to let it bother me. I'm just going to let it flow right through and say, all right, well, thank you for that. Whatever it happens to be. It's like, all right, thank you. Yeah. But at the beginning, at least like years ago, it's like, there's no way that the judgment that stuck. And I would be out for the count for like a couple of days. And it's like, really? Now it's like, all right, well, bring it on, whatever it happens to be, because it's not my problem. So that's my new thing. Hashtag not my problem. Yeah. If it's given you some awareness, woken you up in some way, all right, yay.
Yeah, and even for the people who it doesn't shake awake at all, it's also interesting to look at having this perspective like preemptively, like a preemptive strike kind of thing of if you're going to create something because you're going to change people with it.
Yes.
You're going to heal masses. Oh my goodness, you are setting yourself up for some interesting things coming down the pike.
Oh yes, interesting point of view. I have that point of view.
If you create what you know is possible, that's something very different, because it doesn't matter if people agree with you or disagree or get it or don't get it or get it 10 years down the road. You're just actually putting out there what you know you can. And for me, that's kind of the bigger thing is like, what possibility am I? And am I bold enough to like embody that and institute it every day?
I love that.
For me, that's going beyond mediocre.
Definitely going beyond. But, and that's the thing. We can all do that in our lives, right? What possibility am I, in the world? Like, what contribution am I in the world? How can or what would it take for me to contribute with ease? Sometimes I find we force ourselves and push ourselves, and it's like, it's so heavy, right? But, if we want to be a contribution in whatever way, how can we be a contribution with ease? Like, what would it take for that to be with ease and grace instead of the forcedness and the pushing, right?
Yeah, and so much of us are doing that. There's just this effort.
Yeah, exactly.
And you can just like tap into your bodies right now. Like, how much are your bodies holding on to that effort of like trying to contribute or like changing somebody or helping somebody? It's interesting to me if you can kind of peel back that a little bit more and acknowledge the caring that you have, the ability that you have, the gratitude that you have underneath all of that. And then just start to look maybe not as defined and maybe even not as like big, like in that defined way. But like walking down the street and you make eye contact with someone, do you perceive their world lighten? Is the way you interact with your family the change agent in it? Is there a way you are at the office that just changes? I do that at the hospital all the time. Like, no one knows what I'm doing. No one's acknowledging that.
Yeah.
No one even sees it. I do.
Yeah. And I'm just being.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But see, the thing is, I think we look for that. We look for the outcome, and we look for somebody on the outside to go, good job.
Yeah.
And when you don't get it, you kind of think, oh, well, then maybe I'm not actually being something that I thought I was. It's not about that at all. Like, you got to acknowledge it here. First. And sometimes it's those small things. You know what I mean? Yep.
That's one of my things. I have to say, I still need the acknowledgement. It's not necessarily the acknowledgement. It's like, it kind of is. It's like, I just want to know that, you're getting it. Are you getting it? Is this helpful? If not, I'm not going to do it. But that's, that's again, the outcome, right? Looking for the outcome, doing something because of the outcome.
Yeah. And it's also interesting too, because how much of yourself do you have to shrink down to give it in a way where people can get it? And not only get it, but also show you that they get it.
Yeah.
You know,
it's
also just something that I've been playing with. It's kind of an interesting topic to look at. It might be a little bit weird, but what is like the currency that you love to receive in your life? Do you love to receive compliments, a lightness of energy, lust being thrown your way, hugs, verbal acknowledgments, money? Yay.
Yeah. I'll take that too.
It's an interesting thing to look at, like what your currency has been up until this point of like what it is that lights you up when you receive it, and also what it would take to allow multiple versions of that currency to enter. So if it wasn't like, oh, I have to have the verbal acknowledgement from somebody because that's the thing that gets me going. What if you could go, oh, wow, the energy lightened. Yeah. I'll receive that. Yeah. Or like, wow, I really help people with my business, but I don't need to receive money because they just feel lighter and I feel lighter. Well, what if you could receive the money too?
Yeah. And.
And so whatever currencies you guys have been limiting yourself to, what would it take to open the dam to all of them that are willing and able and ready to flow into your life with total ease?
Yes.
Anything that doesn't allow that, well, you destroy and create it all.
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. Yeah. There's a really cool book. I don't know if you've read it before. It's called The Language of Love. It's more of a mainstream kind of psychology book, but it talked about how love gets really twisted in relationships because the way that it's given from the giver sometimes isn't the way the receiver actually desires to receive it. So it was kind of a clarity book of like, how is it that you like to receive? I kind of take that and I broaden it out beyond love, which has a lot of interesting energy and definitions. But what again is that currency that like for you goes beyond mediocre and just lights you up? And you can totally ask for that. Yeah. You can totally cultivate that and harness it and then allow your like vocabulary with that to expand.
I love that. Thank you. And it's like, it's so, you know, you don't even think of that. Like it's not in your awareness until you like talk about this. You know, I'm in the process of writing my book. And so I was writing down a few notes, and mine's about happiness, right? Because I did 14 seasons of Awaken to Happiness now. So it's like, I think I might know a little bit about happiness. Right. So I was writing in there, you know, what makes me happy? Like, you know, so the currency, right, of happiness. Pretty much, right? What makes me happy? And so one of those was seeing other people get an aha, right? Seeing other people experience that energy and say, oh my God, that was amazing. Thank you. I feel so much lighter, or whatever happens to be. But it wasn't necessarily the thank you, but it was like what they were receiving and being willing to receive, right? So I love how you talked about how are you receiving and what is your currency for receiving? It's not necessarily, it could be many things. So money, the thank you, the seeing somebody laugh, you know, and be happy and joyful. That is like the biggest thing for me. Seeing somebody successful, that makes me so happy, you know. It's like, it really lights me up, you know. So that is a currency. So I'm willing to receive all of those and more. Yeah.
And more and more and more. And what would it take to have profit in all of that from every direction? You know? And I think so often we kind of go, oh, well, if I'm receiving that, it's greedy to ask for more. Or if I ask, like I went through that a couple of years ago where I was always like, oh my God, my business, and just read my book and it's amazing. And you don't have to pay me anything. It's enough of a gift because the world gets lighter and I have more ease because the world gets lighter and I perceive it so dynamically. But one thing I was looking at with that too, when I was changing my ask of like, cool, I love receiving the energy, the openness, and the space I see people go to. When I was going, but it would be nice to have the money also, it almost felt like it was a bastardization or something. It was like shrinking down the ask. But I had the point of view that I couldn't receive both. Or if I received the money too, that the other tap would dry up or diminish a bit. That's a big, big lie. And that's one I've been really working on myself with lately of like, what if you could receive all of it? And just receiving more and more and more didn't mean that it took away from anybody else. also that another form of currency that you love coming into your life didn't shrink too in order for the other one to grow? What if it was just more coming in? I just find there's a lot of interesting points of view about receiving in general, especially from people like us who are healers and helpers and facilitators and change agents, you know?
So what tool are you using right now to get clarity on that or more ease with that?
Asking for more. And like right now, let's just do an exercise. So just drop your barriers and get yourself super soft. If you're a little more controlling, you may have to push your barriers down. No one's like that at all. I can see giggles. Push the barriers in your personal space, but also your mind space and your definitions down too. And just get the energy of your favorite currency. Whether that's the giggle, whether that's someone lighting up in your presence, someone handing you a big pile of cash, someone complimenting you verbally, whatever that is, turn it up. Ask for more. And like you're turning a dial on one of those old dial light switches, turn it up so it gets even brighter. And now don't diminish that. Keep it going. Keep turning it up. Keep turning it up. Keep turning it up. And can you now invite other currencies that you may not have been willing to receive to come into? So whatever your favorite was, it keeps intensifying. That light keeps getting brighter. It keeps going up. And now add in something different. Add in the money. Add in the more clients. The bigger reach in the world. Add in the home life that just makes it really all juicy and yummy if you've been more focused on the business. Turn all of it up. And can you invite the universe to actually give you awareness of other currencies that are so far out of your perceptibility right now that you don't even know to ask for it? Every way that the universe is desiring to give you profit, turn it all up. Bigger, 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 bigger. So bright that your molecules clang and clang and clang until it just explodes and broadbands and broadcasts out to the world. And with that message of, yes, I am willing to receive all of this and more.
Yes.
So what would it be to live and walk and talk and question and wonder and explore with that?
I love that process. Oh my goodness. That is yummy. That was fun. Thank you.
You're welcome. Orgasmic, Carolyn says. Yes, it is.
Yes. And thank you, Caroline, by the way, for your compliment. Thank you. I receive it.
Yeah.
That is a totally different way of looking at it. I absolutely love it because it showed me as well where I was not willing to receive as much as other things, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like,
yeah, we've all got our little tickets, you know what I mean? And it's different for all of us. We've got that one thing that's been like easy to receive or pleasurable to receive, or just our willingness. But again, if you think of like the infinite possibilities, which this whole conversation's about, what if there's like not just one revenue stream that wants to come to you? What if there are 50,000 of them?
Yep.
Are you willing not only to receive it, but to like broadcast the possibility that you be so dynamically that anyone in the world can find your energy to gift it to you? Anyone, anything. And that to me is that turning up of the dial. It's kind of like that big, like red light kind of thing. Like, hey, I'm here. Yeah. Right here. Hi.
So I just felt a little twinge there on that one. So I was like, oh, so I'm not really willing to really put myself out there and shine and like really be visible as much as I keep saying I am. It's like, I wonder what that is.
Interesting point of view.
Exactly. Interesting point of view. I have that point of view.
Yeah. And it's also interesting too. I had a session with Dr. Dane here, who's one of the creators of Access Consciousness over the summer. And it was fascinating because what I had asked from the session was like to be bigger, more, just be bigger. And he's like, yeah. And do you have a definition of what bigger is? And I went, oh. I didn't even see that. And it was also interesting because the more as that session went, and then also in the months following, really looking at where, again, I had gone bigger in the world, people were interacting with me, putting their projections into my space, and where I had kind of bought those perceptions of big. And that was actually something that was kind of contracting and holding it back too. What if it's not only something bigger, what if it's something that's just different? So are you willing to receive everyone else's projections who may be looking at you or listening to you or noticing you, even if you're just walking in the shopping mall?
Yes.
And also at the same time, not making it relevant.
Significant.
Not making it significant. And also not going like, oh, that's the thing that I need to be because this person thinks that that's what I'm going to be.
Oh.
Where do you give up your choice in the face of other people's projections?
Yeah,
gross.
that.
Everything that is. Wow. Right, wrong, good, bad, pop, hot on name, shorts, boys, and beyonds. That was a big one for me, man. That's what I've really been over the last year, especially with this mediocre conversation. For me, it was always, I'm not someone who's ever really functioned like a needy person, at least not in my infinite being. Like there's not a lot of need. There's also not a lot of like charging desires. So it was always easier to pick up on other people's needs of me and fulfill those because that kind of gave me some sort of something to hold on to, you know? It's kind of like, okay, well, I don't really have a need. I'm just here. And your bossy friend once says, oh no, we have to go to this restaurant. You're like, okay. Or you've got a kid who's super dominating and they kind of lead the show, you know? That's not a wrongness. That's actually a strength of kind of this interesting point of view energy that we be. But when you give up your choice, which is super light and airy, super light and easeful, in favor of meeting someone else's needs that may be heavier or more charged or, oh my goodness, I have to, that's something very different.
Yeah.
So what have you made so vital, valuable, and real about the dominance of other people's needs, desires, projections, expectations, rejections, separations, and judgments of you, for you, through you, and with you that keep you from the infinite possibilities that you truly be? And anything and everything and all that is. Will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Yeah, right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all name, shorts, boys, and beyonds.
You know,
and there's the acknowledgement again. Can you acknowledge the fact that you're actually interesting point of view?
Yeah.
Can you acknowledge the fact that you actually don't function from need and chargy desires?
Yeah.
Are you different, you know?
I'm definitely different. I don't function from that very much, but I know I thought it was going to be, it's just going to be my parents and my kids. And then I realized, it's really not that them at all that much anymore. It's more of my clients and my customers and my business.
Yes.
It's like, that. It's like, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting too when you walk down a path and you make choice after choice and you get more awareness, because that's what choice creates, more awareness. To then get the awareness of, wow, I didn't really create any of that for me. Okay. How amazing it is that I created all of that, even though, you know what I mean? Yeah. So if that's the case, it's not making it wrong. It's also not throwing it away, because it may be something that's creating something different and cool in the world. But if you can actually include yourself more in the conversation.
Yes. And that's interesting that we don't do that. You know, it's always about something else or someone else first. So there's a question here about, can you suggest a tool? And so is it Vioma? You know, I always feel so bad if I say the name wrong. Can you suggest a tool to use when we misidentify our awareness and create distorted, dramatic fantasies as true for ourselves?
Well, the word distortion and fantasy kind of pop. So in terms of fantasy, how many of you all actually kind of fantasize and picture things through in your mind, but never actually try it on? How many things have you been like fantasizing about in some sort of weird bubble, like a Pico universe, which is like a bubble universe, or a fantasy land, that you actually don't ever make a choice towards, so you could get the awareness of whether it worked for you or not? Now, this is the interesting thing. This is what choice does. Every time you choose something, you get more awareness. That's kind of like the bulk of choice. You choose into something, you try it on, and that way you actually get to see, does it work for you? Does it not work for you?
Yeah.
You know, it's like when I became a certified facilitator at first. Again, I wasn't really planning on facilitating. It was just like kind of like I was just led there. After my first CF class, I was like, okay, I don't really know what I want out of this. I also don't really know what I'm going to be good at. So I'm just going to do everything I'm certified for. So I went home from the class and I put up a class in every subject that I was certified to teach. I did a telecall, I did a foundation, I did all these different things. And it was amazing to me because that choice opened up the doorway for me to actually try everything on and discover what works, what doesn't, what can I change so it works greater for me, and also what do I enjoy and shine at. Most of us don't do that. We go off into fantasy. My tool for you would be, if you are noticing this distorted fantasy thing you're going into, could you actually indulge whatever thing it is you're fantasizing about? Choose it. Even if it's just choosing the energy of it and playing around with it. If you're fantasizing about a person, can you indulge what it would be like to be with that person? And not just like the fantasy surface stuff, but like, you know, okay, cool, that would be the first part. And then 5 years down the road, dealing with everyone they're connected to, all of their financial realities, building a life together, all of that kind of stuff. It's kind of interesting to me where we're never going to get more awareness if we don't actually choose. So if you're in a fantasy land and never choosing, you actually don't get more awareness. You just create all this other stuff going through your head that doesn't really do anything. It might kind of give you a little energetic yay, you know?
Yeah.
But what if you just started choosing into it, even if it's just a small, simple choice, you know?
Yeah, I love that. And otherwise it just becomes a story, right? Yeah. And I was laughing at Caroline. She said, I have experienced pretty much everything I fantasize about except Robert Redford.
I like Robert Redford too.
That is so cute. Okay, so I just want to take a moment before we go further, because like time has just flown by. But I wanted to take a moment to talk about two things. So Lauren has a gift. It's on the gifts page. Okay, gift, and that's Alara. I'm going to type it in for you guys, but alara.at/CYL/gifts, because it's a gift, you know, I don't put it on the live page because, you know, people get it when they subscribe, right? So, but then people can't find it. So it's like, okay. So somebody asked me earlier, Laura.at, hold on, T/CYL/gifts. Okay, so take a look at that for all the gifts that are there so far. More will be added. And then I wanted to talk also about your special offer that we have. So if you're on the live page, you can just click on gifts, or I think it's there, and or special offer. So perfect. So so Lauren, can you talk a little bit about both the gift and the special offer? That'd be great.
Cool. So the free gift is the first chapter of my award-winning book, The Other Side of Bipolar. I love to say it's a healing entity unto itself. It walks you through, even if you've never been diagnosed, you just felt weird, or like you didn't really fit in, or like you were aware of stuff that other people weren't aware of, and you weren't quite sure how to play with it if no one else saw it too. It's just kind of this open exploration. So the gift is the first chapter for that, to really kind of give you the energy of it. And then the special offer is, it's beautiful. It's a sneak peek into my 30 Days to a Quiet Mind program. I'm someone who loves not only the foundational tools of Access Consciousness, but the foundational tools of all these other systems that I've studied through my long, long journey. And again, there's a depth and there's a breadth to them. So this series, it's a 30 Days to a Quiet Mind. The free gift is the first 3 days of the program. It's being able to actually test drive the beginnings of bite-sized morsels, 1 video a day, that sink you into your awareness deeper. Have you actually choosing something different daily to, again, get more awareness and to start to change your life. And so this is a beautiful program because it's not just getting the inner mind quiet, but it's actually stepping out into your life to change that too. So the inner quiet starts to support the outer quiet. And what happens with that more spacious quality is just more possibilities. So the free gift is the first 3 videos of that program for $20.
I think it's 4 videos, but
First
4.
3. Oh, first 4.
I think it's 4, yeah.
I'm giving you more.
Yeah, Caroline says, yeah, it's 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you get 40 minutes.
Exactly. Great. So thank you. And so that is, like I said, available at the live page. But if you're on the phone or whatever, you can go to lauren.at/cyl/Lauren. It'll be on the replay email and it'll be on the replay page as well. So please do take a look at that and choose what resonates with you. Do both. Get the free gift and get the special offer. Whatever resonates, do what works for you. That's what I always say. Thank you. And it's like, so I wanted to ask anybody if you all had any more questions, because it's like we get to the end and it's like there's still so much more that wants to come through. So if anybody has, oh, I see somebody has their hand raised. How did you do that? I'm gonna I didn't know you could do that.
Hi, I had a question. I sometimes tend to doubt my creation and my awareness. So how could I know that I know?
Ah, that's a big one.
That's a
big
one.
In Access, we have things that are called distractor implants. We all have them, actually. It's just Access is the only system I found that actually gives a word to the energy and a way to undo it. And doubt is one of them, but also one of the big ones, I would say. Mm-hmm. What the distractor implant actually does, it distracts you from being. So my favorite way to work with it is whenever doubt comes up and you start to doubt yourself, your knowing, your creations, all of that, ask yourself the question, am I distracting myself from being? And if you get a yes, that's a very clear indicator of like, wow, perhaps what I was just about to choose would be the thing that really brought me into more being. And look what the distractor did. It totally took my mind off of it. And that's how they work. It's like, okay, I'm choosing more being, I'm choosing more being, I'm choosing more being. These deeper things, the distraction of fear, of doubt, of shame, of guilt, all of that, it starts to get activated and becomes so encompassing that you can't see anything. It blinds you and it takes all your energy and twists it into that. So that would be my question. Am I distracting myself from being with this doubt? And also, can you just practice choosing what you're aware of?
I often tend to just be, and then I keep telling myself, what questions can I ask you? And then I'm just like, get into the mode of silence. So I wonder, like, what is happening?
I also wonder what action is calling to be taken right now. Now, this is the interesting thing. A lot of times with these tools, people go, oh, I'm just going to be, and I'm going to ask from the universe and it's going to show up on my doorstep. And ask and receive, absolutely, but there's action that's required to really create what you desire. And there's also action you can take to like speed up the process. I would say. So if you are noticing yourself like doubting yourself or going into that kind of silent space where there's not a lot going on, just start choosing something to move the energy. Like I had a friend who, she's going through a lot of financial stuff and her business is doing interesting things and her revenue stream doing this thing just dries up. And she was just kind of like paralyzed where she was asking, she was waiting for something to change, but there was just kind of this stagnation thing. And I was telling her, I said, whenever I have that in my own life, I just start choosing things. Like even if it's going on like a job site and submitting my resume to random jobs. I'm like, I'm totally not qualified for this one, but it sounds kind of interesting. I'm just going to put my resume through. Make phone calls. Like what 3 things can you do today to institute the possibilities that you know are possible? What 3 things can you do today? Notice the do, it's action, to create the future that you desire. If you're building a business, what 3 things can I do today to create the business I know is possible? And just start following that awareness. How is that, Gitu?
Yeah, wonderful. I mean, I just lost you in between. That's why there was a silence from my side. But
Funny.
yeah, that's really wonderful. I know I have to create something, but I need that push button. I need the start button. And that is where I'm like frozen right now.
Oh, thank you. But thank you for saying that. So anywhere and everywhere you're waiting for a motivating factor.
Exactly.
To kick you into high gear, whether that's you run out of money, so that motivates you to do something, or whatever, or like the big shiny thing is going to come and go now. Will you destroy and uncreate everything that is? Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And just to give you this energy, like, I wrote my book. It came out in October. I did PR. Everything was like, there was kind of a set plan because I had been working towards the launch for so long. Then December rolled around and I went to Australia and I was like, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with the next year.
Exactly.
I don't know what it is. And quite frankly, I was waiting for that motivating factor. I was like, what big poppy thing is going to fall from the sky and go, me? And I was sitting in the pool in Australia, I kid you not, looking for it, searching my awareness for it and finding nothing. And like, oh shit, what am I supposed to do? And then it kind of hit me that, oh, what if it's just a choice?
Well,
now, I know that doesn't sound fun and sexy because there's not a lot of pop on it, but like literally and truly, what if it was just like, I could choose this thing or I could choose that thing?
Yeah, like even me, my desire is to write a book, but I just don't know where to start and which is the first step to take. I'm totally blank.
Just start anywhere when it comes to a book, anywhere.
Open up a Word document and just start typing.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote a 240-page award-winning book that way. I opened up a Word document and I started typing 1 page at a time. And I also hired someone, a writing coach who was really good at organizing books to keep me accountable and walk me through the process. Because I'm a great writer. I have no idea how to write a novel. No idea. So not only did I just let myself work super non-linear, like I started mid-book and kind of worked my way back to the beginning and then finished up at the end. Mm-hmm. But I actually hired someone to read along with me and kind of go, oh, what you're writing right now only makes sense to you. You may want to go back and add to it. Like, where is there support, Gitu, that if you could add, who or what could you add to your life to allow your creations to come to fruition with total ease?
Whew. Wow. Love that
and
one.
Anything and everything that doesn't allow you to be, know, perceive, and especially receive that and them, will you destroy and uncreate it all?
Yes.
Right, wrong, good, bad, POC, POD, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. Every morning when you wake up, ask that question. Who or what can I add to my life? And also, what 3 things can I actually do today to create the future I know is possible? And just follow your awareness, even if it's something random like go take a nap. Mm-hmm. That can be super creative. Sometimes that's required, you know. Other times it's like, oh, no, get on the phone and call this person, this connection you made 3 years ago, and they have another tidbit for you.
Right. Like coming to the topic of the book, I don't even know what I want to write, where I'm going to start, nothing. But I just know that I have this awesome desire of just writing and writing and writing and writing.
Just start writing. I started writing poetry about the nature hikes I went on.
Yeah, same here.
That's what I did. I was working at the hospital full time. During my lunch break, I sat down, I opened a Word document, and I started writing poetry about the earth, which is the way I've always written. I never really wrote like personal stuff. It was more poetry based. And then the more I did that, it was like the tap started to open. Creativity went, oh, you're ready to receive, you're ready to take action. More ideas came. And then it was amazing just kind of seeing what conversations I was having. And it was like, oh, the mental health thing.
Okay. For me, it's so similar to you. Even I started with poetry. This is like when I was at the age of 14, when I didn't even know what love is. And I was always into this romantic mode and always writing poetries about romance. And then I just got disconnected. And now I have this urge to write, but I don't know what.
Just write about your day. Just write anything. Write what you're grateful for. Write what you are going to do today. Just get into the habit of writing and then ask, okay, what else wants to come through me onto this page?
Yes, I have the habit of writing because every time I hear calls, I'm ready with pen and paper. I'm going on jotting and jotting and jotting and jotting it down.
Good. Did you take notes for today? You can send them to me.
I did.
And you too, I would just say there was something really special that opened for me when I didn't go back to writing, but went back to what I started writing with when I was younger. There was an energy that opened me back up to that voice that I had before I knew and I was an adult to tune it out. So if you wrote that romance thing and it really did something for you, can you just start exploring that on a Word document? What lights you up? What always has lit you up? And just start there and let it unfold, you know?
In fact, very pleasantly, I'm going to tell you something. When you were talking about books, I suddenly just wrote down the title of my forthcoming book. And I don't know what's inside. And I named it
Cool.
as Awakening the Joy Within.
Nice.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah. So then ask
going.
what's next and keep going. Exactly. Okay.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, then.
Thank you.
So Caroline was saying this is heavy about the doing because can't take action while at work.
Oh, honey, I know. I work in the intensive care unit. And I receive emails and work stuff and PR requests while I'm at work in the intensive care unit. And it's amazing because I kind of go, oh, if I'm showing up here, which I have to be, because if I'm not paying attention, I could really hurt a patient. And that's not something I'm willing to do. Also, sitting at home and doing that isn't really, it doesn't sound fun to me, first of all, but isn't a viable option at this point. So asking the question and really coming out of the stat mentality of like, well, if I can't take action right now while I'm at work on this one thing, it'll never get done. That's actually a lie. You've got a lunch break, you've got evenings, you've got weekends. I wrote an entire book that way. You know what I mean? And some days you're tired and you don't want to do extra work. Totally get it. I go through that too. But if you let the lie of time kind of diminish your possibilities like that, you're really going to have a hard time with it. You know, I asked someone before I started writing years and years ago of like, I would love to start writing again, but I kind of feel like I have to go on like a retreat in the woods for 2 weeks and find my quiet and my inner voice and just write. And she said, how long would you do that before you got bored out of your mind? And I said, like 15 minutes. And she said, like, you don't have 15 minutes now to actually do it. And literally I took that and I ran with it. I sat down and was like, 15 minutes at lunch, I'm writing out. I'll email it to myself and flush it out when I get home. An hour in the evening, weekends, you know, it's kind of when things start to really pop for you, you'll make space for them if you ask for space for them to come through. Yeah.
Good.
But that stat mentality of like, I can't do it right now because I'm doing this thing over here.
Yeah.
Also, what can you be creating energetically while you're present with one thing? Can you be at work and also energetically be pulling in business over here?
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Nice. Better. Good. Create energetically. Like it. Good. Yay. All right. I have one last question for you because I know we've already gone over time, but just one really quick question. So, you know, we were talking about kind of like, you know, having ideas, being creative, right? And then it dies. Nothing happens. And it's not because you're not willing to take action. You're willing to take action. I mean, I'm an action-oriented person. I take action all the time, but it's like the energy's gone. It's dead. What happened? You know, it's such a fabulous idea. It's like, I loved it. And, you know, I energetically, I saw it. You know, it's like everything is like gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
and there are some things, there's a lot of different angles to that. And I also would say there are some things that may not desire to come into actualized form, but may still contribute. So where have you actually been creating things energetically that are contributing to what you may create physically that you're not acknowledging?
Yeah.
And also maybe it's just not for now. Like, write it down, put it in an ideas journal, and actually ask the question, are you for now or for later? If you're creating something and there's a lot of effort that's required, it may not be time for it. That's okay. You know, start to actually add in the element of space to what you're creating and allow those things to come on their own time. And then you can start getting cool at like pulling them. You know what I mean? Then there's a little bit more of a, yeah, you, not right now, but I'm going to still kind of invite you in. I'm going to still pull you. Come. Come on. You want to come. Come. I know. You start just doing that to actually allow it to come back to fruition. We also hear other people's creations a lot. I do that a lot. So I'll actually get an idea for something and I'll go, oh, wait a second, you mine or you someone else's?
Good question. Yeah.
You know, not that I couldn't move on them if I wanted to, you know what I mean? But I'm frequently that weird person who sends people random newspaper articles or awarenesses of like, especially my friends are kind of like, hey, have you seen this thing? And it's because it matches an energy they have to gift that I don't quite have. Like there's something unique with them with this thing. And it's like, oh, they're maybe not be listening to it, but I kind of hear the creation. So where are you hearing things that may be great for other people, maybe just not you?
Oh, nice. I like that. Good. Money come, money come, money come. Money is invited now. Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. I know we've already gone over, but so I'm just going to remind everyone, please do take a look at the special offer and the gift. It'll be on the replay email. It's going to go out a little bit later, so take a look at those. And as we close off, Lauren, this has been so much fun, and it went by so quickly, like so quickly. Is there any other last tool that you'd like to share with us so that we can go beyond mediocre to infinite possibility in our lives, in any area, in every area?
Start playing. No significance. I'm going to try it on for size. And if you can come at it from that lightness and that play without looking for the outcome or making it super significant or like it has to be here now, things will be a lot easier. Like if there's something that lights you up, just try it out. You get a new certification, you're like, cool, just put up a class and do it. You want to write? Open up a Word document and just start writing whatever lights you up. Like any little step that you can take to play with those possibilities, take it out of fantasy and actually start indulging in action. See what will start to shift and change there. And that creates phenomenons your way.
I love that. Indulging in action, you know? Yeah,
Yum.
I like that. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, Caroline, you should have gotten it. I will check. I'll double check, but you should have gotten it. I will check. But thank you. This was so much fun. I wish we had more time to talk about this and a lot more. Because there's just so many places that we could go, right? So many places that we could go and go beyond mediocre to infinite possibility in every area of our lives. I mean, it really, anything and everything is possible, right? What are we choosing, right? And so it comes down to, what are you choosing for yourself today? Are you choosing fun? Are you choosing joy? What was your first question that you mentioned, Lauren, at the very beginning? Do you remember?
I remember.
You wrote it on Facebook. I was like, oh, that's really good.
Oh, what is a phenomenal life from my point of view? That's what I've been asking.
Yeah.
And like literally I got blown up into that like a week ago. I received a body process that just rocked my world. And during it, I kept getting all these pictures of what I thought was beyond mediocre that actually wasn't for me. Or what was a big life, but a big life from someone else's perspective. And I got up off the table and went, I have no cognitive idea of what that is, but I'm totally in wonderment right now. And like, what if that could actually be the greatest joy of like, wow, I have no idea really what that could be. I have elements of it. I've created amazing so far, but I wonder, what is a phenomenal life from my point of view? And just start shopping around and indulging it.
Yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. So what is the phenomenal life for you? What does that look like for you? So I invite you to take a look at that, play with it, indulge in it, even fantasize about it. It's like, what would that be like, right? So thank you, everyone, so much. So much fun. So until next time, continue to live your life filled with joy, peace, love, abundance, and happiness. Sending you all much love and blessings always. Bye for now.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.